I just want to remind everyone that there's going to be a little bit of distortion due to how I have to place my camera in order to view this from above. I think the lines are going to get a little narrower at the top. They're going to narrow in and seem a little wider at the bottom. But just recall on our grid that all our vertical lines are perfectly straight and the horizontal lines are perfectly straight. The only ones that are at an angle or should be at an angle are the lines that recede, and we use the vanishing point to identify those. So to begin working with your grid, it's probably best for us to start at the back and work our way to the front. And the first thing we have to do is decide on the height of our gable. Imagine that this is a living room inside a townhouse. Maybe it's the attic room, a little attic space, and within that narrow width of a room, there's an even narrower little alcove. And there's a little bookcase inside, a fireplace, and room for a love seat. Not a large sofa, but a love seat, not too big. And there's a beautiful window at the back. So not exactly a bay window, but that sort of setup. To start with the gable, the first decision you have to make is how tall you're going to make it. And this is just an estimate. And you count in from the edge. Notice that I've marked off my feet. So remember that every square on the grid is an equal-sided box. It's 1 foot by 1 foot. It's relative scale. You don't have to know how much each of these boxes measures. They just know that relative to each other, each one is 1 foot by 1 foot. And the further they are away from us, the smaller they appear, but they're not smaller, they're really the same size. So to find this gable, we'll count in 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 feet, and we'll decide on how tall to make it just by making a vertical line. And you use the lines down below. I'm letting my sets grow up with the lines below. You don't even have to use your your parallel rule. Once you have your grid in place, you can do this. Now, I'm going to choose something like that. Now, the reason I didn't choose the middle was because the middle, all throughout its whole length, is a straight line. So I can't judge anything from that straight line, and you'll see what I mean. But if I move from 8-foot corner here of my ceiling, that's my ceiling, then I go through this point that I chose arbitrarily, and I bring it back to the center, you'll see that I can make 1/2 of my gable. Then, now that I have this, it's very easy to just do the same thing on the other side. Go from 8 feet and bring it in, and there's my gable. Now I also have to do it at the ceiling at the back, and that's why we chose this area. Along this line, I wouldn't know what to choose for the height at the back, but this I can choose by using my vanishing point. So I take this mark, top of the line of my gable at the top here, and I use my vanishing point and I bring it along, and now all I have to do is go from this same line. I make a box, and you'll see most of what we do here is just make a box. That's how we figure everything out. If I bring this measurement down and draw a vertical at this point and stop it on this perspective line, that gives me the same angle that I got back here. It's very easy, all very straightforward, very logical. I go from here through here and meet up at the middle line, and that'll give me my gable, how big the gable will appear at the back of the room against the back wall. So our ceiling is elevated there, and you'll see the angles should appear the same. So we have now our gable. Now this is all ceiling now, so this is all back wall, so we have to adjust this line a little bit to make it show that our ceiling actually goes up this high, goes up to meet this gable. While we're dealing with this, while we're on the ceiling, it would be a good idea to take a look at our light fixture as well. Now, all of our information is coming, as you know, from our floor plan and our elevation. So we'll have to have a look at that. So this again is all, that wall extends now from this line of the floor all the way up to that red line that forms our gable. And that's true at the front as well. You could put all of these in, but we won't take our time to do that just now. So we'll have a look at our floor plan and our elevation. So we know that our pendant light or hanging light fixture is 2 feet wide. It can have any depth that you like. And when you begin looking for your references, you'll choose one that appeals to you. And you can figure out, relatively speaking, how far it hangs down from the ceiling and how much actual height it has in itself. But for this generalized simple box form drawing, we have one that's 2 feet by 2 feet. And this actually might be the best way to begin this, is to begin with it on the floor and bring it up to the ceiling. Now, our boxes on the floor, as you'll notice, are less distorted than the foreshortened boxes on the ceiling. Our eye level is higher, closer to the ceiling. That's why the boxes on the ceiling appear more shallow. They're not, they're the same, but they appear to be that way. So let's map that out on our floor. And we're at the center, so the 6 feet is center between 0 and 12. So we'll map out the box for our light fixture on the floor. 2 feet by 2 feet. And we'll bring that up to 2 feet by 2 feet on the ceiling. You're gonna have to look through all of our gabled ceilings. Just ignore it for now. So we know already that our gabled ceiling is higher than our light fixture. That's what we wanted it to be there for. Since we only had 8 feet for the height of our wall to begin with, we wanted to extend it a little bit, and this is how we did it. So now I've got my 2 feet by 2 feet box on the ceiling here, 2 feet by 2 feet down here, and I just join those up. And these are projection lines. We don't want a light that's this big, but it will help for us to picture exactly what's going on the ceiling when we know how much space it takes up on the floor. Sometimes that's helpful to know. So I'm bringing this up. And don't worry, as soon as you get something formed, you can use your black pen to outline. If you're working in pencil crayon, things could get lost. But once you start outlining with your black pen, you'll see it will be just fine. Now, the reason we're doing these two pieces together, they do relate to the ceiling, but there's another reason. This is the center. This is where the light fixture hangs from the ceiling. So we've got to find that mark somewhere on this straight line. This represents the height of the gable all throughout its length, all throughout its trip back in space. So if I were to bring this measurement over to this line, this so important line, and make a vertical here, and use your lines at the bottom. If you're set up on your desk, that's even better, then it's much quicker. But okay, so now I have a mark. I know what 1 foot in on this gable looks like. So all I have to do again is go 1 foot in from here, the corner, 1 foot in from this place that I know that I've just created, and I'll be able to find out exactly where on this gable my light will hang from. So it's going to hang down from here. And the center is here, remember, 1 box, 2 boxes in, 1 box in is the center. So this will be the center of our light fixture right here. And that's where it's going to begin to hang. So whatever kind of hardware is up there, this is going to be how it's going to hang down. And as I mentioned before, it can hang down quite a lot or just a little. It really just depends on the light fixture that you choose. Since this is in line with this line, we go down to 7, and 7 would be here, right across. So you project across and you'll find out. Probably there's a coffee table in front of the sofa, and since this is right in front of the sofa, you could maybe go a little lower, but 7 is probably safe. And remember, you can always go higher as well if you have a particularly lovely light fixture that's going to need a little extra height or depth to it, then you can always do that. So now, as soon as you have your box for your light fixture established, it's very important that you put it in black ink so that you can distinguish it from everything else that's going to be going on. There's a lot that's going to be going on. So you go in, and I don't want to take up your time doing that, but I just want to show you the little bit of colored pencil is going to help you see your way, make it a little clearer. And once you have this, you're very welcome to put in some color so that you can distinguish one section from another. So maybe all of your facing planes you put in one color, all of your top planes or bottom planes, top and bottom planes, you put in another. This will help too when we go into lighting situations. So leave your hidden lines, of course leave your hidden lines. You never want to completely abolish them. They're important should you ever need to find the center of this or something else. It's very important that you have that. Okay, now we would just put that in so you can see this hidden part. If you can distinguish it, or maybe a dotted line, you could go in there with a dotted line. That might be more effective than so many solid lines. We have so many solid lines, so goes right up to here. Okay, but I think the thing that helps the most is putting in a color so you can distinguish front from back and back from side, and